Town Band Banter with Doc and Dave. Every week, two longtime friends and colleagues in the world of music, David Price and Donald Doc Smith, get together to discuss the triumphs as well as the twists and turns of lifelong learning for the dedicated members of thousands of civilian community music ensembles of every shape and size. Your comments and suggestions are always welcomed through email as info@townbandbanter.com, Facebook, Town Band Banter, and Instagram, #TownBandBanter. And now for our hosts, Doc and Dave.
All right, so here we go, episode 7.
Oh, this can't possibly
Lucky
be episode 7.
Yeah, we have Lucky 7 happening,
man.
so yeah, it's been a great ride so far. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. The listens are going up.
Oh, really? So it's not sort of we can call each person personally?
I don't
and thank
know.
them?
Not really. Yeah, the same as on TV.
Yeah.
You know, those little things when they show the studio view, each little TV screen on there is not looking into your living room.
Oh, yeah, right.
We once had a girl really concerned that was the case when I was in high school.
Right.
But that isn't it. But we do have plenty of listeners, and we're getting some more followers.
Yeah.
You know, we want to encourage everyone to follow. We have a couple questions, and I'm thinking, Dave, somewhere soon we'll do an episode just answering those questions without guests. It would be kind of cool to do that. So please get a few more in, and we'll have enough to fill the whole episode.
True.
Although one question, we could probably, spend 30 minutes easily doing that. We try to keep everything around 30 minutes, and we're glad to have you all on board. We have a wonderful guest today. So Dave is going to introduce her and take the lead on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Fire away.
We're very honored to have you here today. Very honored. This is Alison Patton, who is the director of the historically famous Westerly Town Band. And at one point there was some question as to, which was the oldest band in America? And I heard, maybe I heard the Westerly Town Band was formed in the 18-something 60s, I think?
1852.
52. Yeah, and that's this, but there's a band in Pennsylvania that is boasting that they've been around a little bit longer. So, I don't know. Is this, do you find some contention with this?
I don't know how true that is,
Yeah.
but what we put on is that we're the oldest continuous non-military band, because some of these old bands went to war and became a military band.
Sure, yeah. They became part of they were established in the military. That's all right.
Sorry.
You all right?
Yeah, okay.
Jeez, you're making me worried here. Came through the military process, and then they became town bands when they came back after the war and stuff like that.
So our band actually started in 52, and then we stopped for a few years because all of our members went to war, but not as part of a band, and then they reformed in 1863.
Right. Yes. Oh, very good. I think it's very appropriate, being the leader of the band, that your name is Patton. Is there any relation there?
Not that I know of.
No? You should see her. You don't get the right note. She'll slap you across the face. She's tough. Real tough. But no, you got to know the Patton story to be able to get that. But anyway, it's nice to have you here. It really is. Now, one of the not strange things, but really when you think about it is unique, is that with the Westerly Band, out of all the years they've been in existence, they've only had a handful of directors. And you are, maybe one of, 5 or 6?
In the last 100 years or so.
Yeah.
Before that, they went through a bunch of them. They were voted in and voted out. There was a lot of political things taking place within the band.
They probably just shot each other when they didn't like what was going on. But that's all right. Go ahead.
But then afterwards, in the last 100 years or so, there were maybe 5 of us.
Yeah. Wow. And the last one was Everett?
Everett Perrin, and then for a few years in between there were Bucky Wilds.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, those were the 2 names down there that kind of
before
consistent.
Everett was Charlie Gavitt. So starting in about 1900 through halfway through that, it was him, and then Everett Perrin around 1950 or so, and
Sure.
then from there on.
Good. So you have been the director for how long now?
It's kind of foggy because when Bucky Wilds got sick, I kind of took over, but I was actually voted in about 1997.
Oh, okay.
But
it's been a while now.
I started a couple years before and then in and out.
Yeah, right. Very good. It's as I said, it's a historic band. It's been around forever, you know. So Doc, you can take your information back to Pennsylvania if you really want to, and we can have a
into the lion's den. I mean, the bands are very contentious. It's a contentious thing about who was the oldest or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But all with a slap on the back and a chuckle at the end.
Oh,
too.
sure, absolutely.
But I'm fascinated that, with only 5 directors, when you say Everett took over in 52, 18 or 19?
19.
No, I'm just kidding. It's like, oh my gosh, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Some of the larger bands, like Big Ten bands, there were periods of 30 or 40 years that someone was the director.
Yeah.
The same with high school bands and stuff like that. So it's not that unusual.
Yeah, these directors hang on forever, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well,
it keeps you healthy, I guess. Waving your arms around, it keeps you healthy.
Continuity is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It is a good thing, yeah. We always like to get a little background on our guests. And just a quick background. So you started playing an instrument at what age?
I actually didn't. Well, I played recorder when I was a kid.
Sure.
I took lessons, private lessons and that. But I actually didn't start playing trumpet until I was in 10th grade or so.
Oh, really? Wow.
And George Kent.
Yeah, I was going to say
he taught me.
Yeah.
And then a year and a half later, I started in the high school band also.
Yeah. Right. Oh, very interesting. So what made you choose trumpet? Here I am sitting next to two trumpet players here, you know what I mean? So.
This is a funny story. I was in George Kent's church choir and also the chorus of Westerly, which he founded, and as a kid. And in the hallway downstairs from the church, there was a big pipe that they used as a coat rack. And we used to take it off and blow into it like a trumpet and made a huge noise across the whole place. Before George Kent came down. When I was doing it, he came in and he said, "Oh, you'd make a really good trumpet player." And so that put the wheels turning, and I saved up my money and I bought a trumpet. And then,
very good.
And then I said, well, where can I learn how to play? And he said, "Oh, I'll teach you." So,
wow. And he was, he was on the staff at URI. He might still be there for all I know.
No, he's not. But he was the trumpet teacher at URI.
And I taught trumpet with him. We both taught at the same time. He was the next office over from me when I was director of athletic bands there.
Okay.
So I know George very well.
Yeah.
But like so many fascinating people, we'll get off him, but you can't talk about Westerly music without speaking of George Kent.
Oh, no,
right?
Yeah.
And he had like at least 3 lives going on because he is a university professor. He had one of a very important course in the world because their guest conductor for the summer when they went to the camp in Ogans was who?
David Wilcox.
And then he told me that he made most of his money catching lobsters.
Yeah, he was a lobster man.
So there, there's at least, and there were probably lives we didn't know about, but I think with fascinating people like that, that's often the case. Everyone just assumes that how they know them is that's all they do because they're so good at it.
Right.
And then you find out later on, sometimes at funerals, like that he goes, who are these other people that are here?
Yeah.
And they were all enamored of him because he was, or her, because they did something fabulous in another field completely.
Yeah.
So George founded the Chorus of Westerly. When was that? Was that after or before the band?
It was much after the band, yeah.
Much after the
band.
band.
Okay. He actually
because George founded it, right? So he wasn't around in 1852.
He might have been. You might want to check on that.
When he was a teenager, he actually started out in the Westerly Band at 12 years old or so, playing trumpet.
So that formed him.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
And the church choir, he was in both of those, and then he took over the church choir, and actually I think it was in the 1960s.
Life 4. Organist and church choir.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. He's fabulous organist. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
In the 1960s or so, I think he decided he wanted to start a chorus in order to give the kids the opportunity to do the major works, and so that's why he started the chorus in the first place.
And now there's a hall for him, but I know the Westerly Band has something that a lot of other bands are jealous of. And that's your own rehearsal space.
Oh, we do. We have a rehearsal the upstairs floor of the Westerly Armory.
Yeah. And that's where you perform too, or do you perform in
sometimes
or George Kent Hall?
Occasionally, we've done a few things there, but most of the time we perform outside, like in the park or someplace.
Right.
But we do have a couple concerts, 1 or 2 concerts a year in the Westerly Armory downstairs.
Well, that might be a good segue into like what is the Westerly Band's role in the community, because it's really unique.
Yeah, it really is. By the way, I just thought I'd throw this in. I have heard this rumor that Alison is one of the few people, maybe in the world, that can ride a unicycle and play a trumpet at the same time.
I used to be able to do that. I can
you haven't practiced that in a while?
I can do each separately now, but I haven't done both together since I was maybe in college.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say George wasn't the one who taught you that.
No.
Yes.
No, but actually, it was through the chorus that I learned, because the chorus used to put on a celebration of 12th night every year.
Absolutely.
And I had one of the jesters at 12th night taught me how to ride the unicycle.
Right. Oh, yeah. It all ties together.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
So the Westerly is its own unique little universe.
Yeah.
In the little teeny state of Rhode Island. For those listening outside of the state of Rhode Island, we have our own little segments of the state that are very different from the others. The people running the shoreline, the people up in the north who get the snow and they're a little bit more mountainous. Yeah. Even though it looks like a little speck on the map, when I moved here to Rhode Island, I was amazed at how different.
And it's not even an island.
And it's not an island, right?
And there are no roads.
So let's get back to the band.
Yeah. Where do you see the Westerly Band going? What would you like to see happen with the Westerly Band? And now you've been directing a while, and say 10 years up the road, what do you want to see with it? Do you have any visions of it?
Well, maybe it'd be better to lay out, what is the role of it now? Because I know there's some of that, and then they go to the future. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's going to work the other way.
That's
all right.
Yeah.
So the role, I would say, we do a lot with the community. We play in the park, a few concerts a year.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what is the concert schedule? Do you have like a regular concert schedule, or?
We do. We play most of our things spring, summer, and fall, and then we take the winter, except for our Christmas concert. We rehearse for the winter.
Right. Okay.
What they used to do years ago, before I joined the band, they used to have 10 concerts in the park a year, and every summer, and they would rehearse on Wednesday and have a concert on Thursday for 10 consecutive weeks.
Oh my goodness.
And then they would, at the time they met, it was near the park, like sort of across the street, so they would just grab their music stands and their instruments and march to the park every week. And it was before television and all that, and so that's how people used to entertain themselves. In the summer, they'd go to a band concert.
Oh, that's cool.
They didn't pull out their iPhones and Google something.
And the park is beautiful.
It is.
It is a
beautiful.
really nice feature.
Wilcox Park.
Yeah,
Huh?
It's absolutely gorgeous.
So you have 4 concerts a year roughly. That are pretty much the same time every year.
We just finished our children's concert, which is always a big hit
Yeah.
in the park, and then we usually have one or two other concerts in the park.
Right.
Then we have other concerts and parades around the community.
So I know the Columbus Day Parade, because the University of Rhode Island would come down every other year.
Yeah.
Can't go every year because there was another big one in Woonsocket that you have to do. You can't make half the state mad at you when it's so close. So we would come down every year, and I was impressed with that. But you do other parades as well.
We do. Westerly itself has a Memorial Day Parade and a Columbus Day Parade. We play at the Mystic Memorial Day Parade.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes other towns have special parades during that they would like us to do. Like last year we did
the 300th.
300th.
Right. Yeah. 300th anniversary of South Kingstown.
And Westerly had our 350th a couple of years ago that we had a special parade for.
Wow.
So there's different things, and then we also play religious processions for different churches.
Now that's unusual. Okay,
See,
that's interesting.
there's a lot. They have a lot of connection with the with the religious community.
Right.
A lot of Italian influence. So a lot of people, the Italians there, but I don't know if the Portuguese is
we do
also.
Portuguese also.
Portuguese also.
Yeah.
And the Greek community too. Don't they also have some kind of a big festival?
Not with us.
Not with you guys. Okay, all right. That was,
so we have processions and parades with them too. And then there's a couple other parades that we do throughout the year. We do the Blessing of the Fleet in Stonington.
Oh.
And we do, what else do we do?
The Blessing of the Fleet is in July.
Yeah, at the very end of July.
Right. How many of the processionals do you, just to step back just for a second, Because how many? It's each church has their own patron saint, and that's when they do their feast. So how many do you end up doing a year?
For the processions we do, I think we do two a year for the processions.
Oh, okay,
now.
so that's not too
It
bad.
used to be more, but
Yeah.
yeah. And one of them is one of them, the Mount Carmel for the Italians
Right.
is so long. It's like 4.5 miles. Finally, I said, we can't do it, and they because our people are getting older,
Right.
and so they begged us, and I said, well, if you give us a trailer to ride in, we'll do it. And so now they give us a trailer. So.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to the March Grave for the Portuguese, where you only go 3 blocks and it still takes the same amount of time as
Yeah,
going
yeah, we've done
4.5
that too.
miles.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Well, and the other thing too, and unfortunately I'm kind of in that same boat, is that I really can't march in parades anymore. So how do you handle that as the band is getting older? This is one of the things we've talked about, is how to deal with the real community problems of a band, where you have people of all ages, but now you've got an aging population in the band. You know?
We have a handful of people that don't march anymore, but miraculously, it seems like every time we start losing people, young people join in.
They seem to
Yeah.
step up to the ranks. Oh, good.
And they're coming from Westerly High School?
No,
Where are they coming from?
some from Charlestown. A couple came from URI. My daughter and my son-in-law and my son are still in band, and my son-in-law brings in a couple every now and then, and just people in the late 20s, early 30s, and they just friends bring each other in.
Great, great. So that tradition continues.
Yeah,
That's
well,
important.
I'm actually that's good.
There's
That's
also
good.
a music studio in Westerly. The United Theater has the Rhode Island School of Music, Rhode Island Philharmonic School of Music.
Right.
Has a
There's an
studio in the
outpost there?
United.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
And especially their woodwinds teacher, but they sometimes, if they have adult students, they sometimes tell them to come to us. And,
Yeah, because they need someone to play. They need an
Yeah.
outlet. It's one thing to take lessons, but it's
Yeah,
another
so
thing to get someone to applaud for you at the end
yeah.
of the song.
Yeah.
And so if they're in their late teens or adults, they send them over to us.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, that's good. That's good. I did not know that.
Oh.
Yeah, that was that's pretty good, because there is it's obviously a concern with many groups. They don't march anymore, and with many groups. Doc, you march? But
Of course.
how long is that parade? There's one parade in Jamestown.
There are two.
Two
actually.
now? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
because the 4th of July parade
Yeah.
is a. You may have something like this in Westerly. It was just it happened spontaneously in a neighborhood. I guess someone had passed away, a veteran, and the neighbors wanted to try to cheer up the family on the 4th of July. And
Yeah.
it just happened. So they went and they marched around their house singing patriotic songs and banging pots. And then the next year, more people joined in.
More pots.
More pots and more singing. And then it got bigger and bigger. And then eventually the band had emerged in the community, and they became a part of it. So now this parade currently on the 4th of July morning is a police car. It only goes 4 blocks. I mean, my joke is that, a 9-block parade in a 4-block town. Like in Michigan, because you go all the way up and you turn around and you come right back. And it's just a police car, the band, 250 highly decorated bikes with kids on them, like who have outfits on and everything else, and maybe a fire truck, and that's the whole parade. And we go up 4 blocks, turn around and come back. And there's something about that that's magical.
Oh yeah.
And then the Memorial Day parade was why the band was founded.
Right,
Actually,
right.
because the high school band no
That's right,
longer
yeah.
would march, and they tried to do a boombox instead, and
Yeah,
people in the sidelines said there have to be a dozen people here to play, that we could do that. So the next Memorial Day was the first one about 31 years ago.
Yeah.
So you have us beat with length of in many ways.
Well, it's really nice that people step up though. That
Yeah,
young people
yeah.
are stepping up.
Yeah.
That's very encouraging. It is very encouraging.
So
And that they're
I
coming
hope-
from other districts too. I like that they're
Yeah,
coming
that's-
from the Cheraho, the neighboring district.
Yeah.
That's very promising as well.
Yeah, and
Um,
with the 4th of July, I just thought of something. Traditionally, it's always been since the beginning of the year of the band to not do anything on the 4th of July. So we never take this year I had to turn somebody down because we never have that. They always say that's for the band members. That's for the families.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
so
Oh, that's
actually
nice.
this year I turned down a bike parade like you were just talking about
Oh,
in
okay.
Stonington
Yeah,
because it's been a tradition, and so my family always takes our family vacation during that week because I know that we won't have a band job.
Another tradition that's built into the family calendar, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that happens with us too, you know.
Well, I was going to work backwards.
Okay,
but that's
sorry.
all right. That's all right. But is there any one? I'm a little bit on the spot here, but is there any one instance that you can call very special in your involvement with the community band?
We've
Did I
evolved
say it
into our
right?
questions. That's
Yeah,
exactly
right.
question
I'm just
one.
trying to guess.
What was your most memorable experience with the community band?
Right. Exactly.
There's
Yeah,
so many.
You don't trust me, do you?
No, I got it. Yeah, I
Okay,
just
good,
yeah.
good.
Oh, there are so many. I can't.
Well, you can give
I
us
think
more than
just
one, but what's
but-
what's the one that's jumping out in your mind right now?
Is there any one in particular that just kind of jumps in?
I can't really
You
think
can't,
of one in particular.
Don't
yeah,
worry about
yeah.
it if you can't. That's fine. Yeah, it was the day you won $1 million during the
I wish.
parade. Yeah.
Well, we can actually go. We can go back to that.
Oh, you know what? There was one thing. The Columbus parade, as you said, is a really big thing.
Big deal.
One year, a few years, I don't remember how many years ago, but maybe 10 years ago or so, we were asked to be the grand marshal of the parade. And
The
so
band?
The band
Oh,
was
how
the grand,
cool.
I think it was the first group, but we were the grand marshal, so we had special banners and all sorts of, we're always in the front of the parade anyways, but it was just a big thing, and so they gave us a van for all the older people who couldn't march anymore to
Right.
also go along with us, and it was a really
Oh,
big
wonderful.
thing.
And those parades, the entire town comes out.
Oh yeah,
You know, usually, especially if it's nice weather.
yeah.
You know, everyone is there if it's nice weather. Was it nice weather that day?
It was beautiful weather that
Good,
day.
yeah.
And the theme of the parade was something about community, but like tradition and community.
Uh-huh. Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. That's
That's
a,
right,
that's a
yeah.
good one.
Throw one of the other questions out there. What do you got?
Okay, how did participating in a community band affect you?
Me, oh, I think it helped me. It helped me come out, like not be so shy, you know, and just
Yeah.
talk to people better, you know.
When you first joined? Yeah,
Or as the time went on, especially becoming the director.
You
Right.
need to be pretty good at talking to people when you're
Yeah.
director. Yeah,
Right.
that's for sure. What was a big challenge with an ensemble and how was it overcome?
A big challenge. When I first became director, I was afraid that they wouldn't listen to me. But as long as, and also everybody would try to give me advice because I was so young compared to a lot of them.
Right.
They try to, so what I learned to do is listen to what they say and then do what I wanted to do anyways.
Sounds perfect to me. Yeah.
That sounds like I should have included that in my music methods class.
That's exactly.
When
Do what
you
you
come
gotta
up
do
with an
anyway.
issue, just
Yeah.
pretend that you're politically wise. And then, Dave, it was your question to start. You know, like it kind of turned everything. The future,
Yeah.
right?
What
What do you see
see
for the future of Westerly? And go ahead. You can.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say one of the neat things that you did was, and that brought Steph and I down, my wife Steph, down to your band was that you started a little prep program
Mm-hmm.
back. Oh my gosh, what's it been now? 2 years ago you started that.
Yeah, I think so.
A little over 2 years I've been trying to play that darn French horn. But so my wife picked up the flute. These are instruments we don't play. So she picked up the flute. I picked up the French horn, which I still can't play. But the concept was we go down and you spend about an hour trying to learn or trying to play the instrument, and then eventually, if we feel confident enough to be able to join the regular band. So what was your inspiration for that?
We would have people that would come to the band and for one reason or another they didn't feel quite ready when they started playing with us and they felt intimidated and they just couldn't keep up with the rest of the band. And so we would, a lot of people we eventually lost because they just couldn't keep up with us. So
Sure.
I thought, well, maybe we should have the prep band to just ease them in and so that they could work on it and get better.
Yeah.
and work on it, and it seems to be a success.
Yeah,
We're starting another one in September.
you're going to do it in September? Yeah.
Years ago, we had a couple beginners bands where we actually taught adults how to play. But the prep band's a little different because it's for people who can already play, or in your case, you could catch on because you did music already.
Right.
But,
Being a percussionist, I was 6 steps behind, but that's beside the point.
But years ago, we had a beginners band, and we got a few people after a couple of years to be able to join the regular band.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured this was a little different because they could already play a bit, but they weren't quite ready to join.
Sure.
And we got quite a few people to.
Good.
Is there an audition?
No.
To join? Okay.
No.
So we joke in the Jamestown band that it's a select ensemble.
Oh.
Whoever selects to be in it is
Oh,
in
yeah,
it.
that's it,
Right,
yeah.
that's that kind
Yeah,
of
we
select.
never
Yeah.
we never turn anybody down.
How did you advertise to get this, and how will you advertise to get that program going again?
We did a lot on Facebook.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people, and also the newspaper. There's a
Right.
column written on us in the
Good old fashioned things, and I find the one thing that if we don't put the little placards up in the two sides of town in Jamestown, our audience is less.
Mm-hmm.
That's more powerful than anything.
Yeah.
You know, and we get good ads in the newspaper too.
Yeah, and we also got a few people through the United Theater from that program that they.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're good musicians. They're right.
Yeah. Well, the instructors sent them over. But.
Right. And then what about through the Westerly Chorus? Because people come from all over the state to be in the Westerly Chorus. When does that rehearse?
They used to rehearse on Thursdays, but
Right.
so when they changed directors, I think it's on Mondays now, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
But,
that might be the case. Yeah.
yeah.
So it'd be 2 trips. I mean, Rhode Island. If you have to travel more
Yeah.
than 30 minutes twice
There-
a week, that's really outrageous.
Yeah, yeah. And a couple times we've had people in both,
Right.
but it tends to be a lot, and sometimes a couple things overlap, and they have to choose one or the other. So
Right.
for concerts. But
How's the band funded? We forgot to ask that. I'd like to know how that works.
we charge a little, or some, for a lot of the jobs that we do, most of them.
Right.
And then the town gives us an appropriation of $3,500.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then, yeah, you're covering yourself by the performance, but there's no fee for the members to belong.
No.
What about donations?
We do get
or
donations.
Tickets when you do concerts?
Not usually. The tickets for the Christmas concert, the proceeds usually go to the Armory, because they let us have their spot to.
So that they don't charge you rent.
They do charge rent.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah, but
okay.
just for the Christmas concert, we charge. I think it's a $5 donation, and we just give that to the Armory for letting us have the concert there.
Yeah,
Right.
the concerts are in the big room downstairs. It's a
Yeah.
big open room.
Right. No,
Not where we rehearse.
We have
Yeah,
our
it's
own. We have
different,
2
yeah.
rooms upstairs. That
Yeah.
we
I've
rehearse.
actually been in all those places.
Yeah.
Because one of my sons was in the string group that was run there.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we used to go down there once a week. Actually, they rehearsed in Pocketuck.
Yeah, they
Across the-
rehearse in Pawcatuck. We actually play a concert with them.
Oh, great.
Not everybody in the band, but whoever it's selected, whoever wants to.
Right.
And we have a Christmas concert that we play along with them.
Oh, fantastic. Was it? I think that's covered pretty much all the things that we usually cover.
I think we
Yeah.
we really appreciate you coming down.
Do you have
It was
anything
just,
that you want to add that like we
Or
we
ask.
just or ask? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My mind's blank now. I had something I wanted to say.
Well, this isn't live, so
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all right.
it's
Yeah,
scarier when it's live.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, we wish that we wish you well with the band, and that it continues on, and your directorship
Oh, yeah.
continues on. It's a unique band. It really is. I kind of enjoy my role as a backup director. That way, I can go once in a while, still do a little directing, but
Right.
and then not have all the responsibilities, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so I've already asked him for the week of the 4th
Yeah.
of July, because that's when I go away.
Yeah.
But,
I do a similar role in his band. So
Right. He does a good job.
oh, I did
Well,
think of something.
You haven't heard all the bad stuff, but that's beside the point. You're fine. You're fine. Yeah.
What did you want to add?
I did think of something. You reminded me of something earlier when you have to know your members of the band. Like some people you're okay with saying, like with Dave, I can say, oh, you played a wrong note there. But if some people you have to, if you can't tell them that because they get all defended. So
Right.
you have to kind of say, oh, somebody over there is playing that wrong, or check your key signature, or something like
Right.
that, and then do it again.
I study with really good conductors. What they'll tend to do is second clarinet. And if there's like a whole section of second clarinet, then that is specific enough.
Yeah.
It
Or
doesn't
I'll
make
say-
anyone stand out.
I'll say,
Yeah.
oh, one of the trumpet players is playing the wrong note, or something like that. But,
Right,
you know,
right.
mm.
That's good. And
We've had some conversations like that. In directing a community, but you have to know your people and how much you can push, how much you can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. And as the both of you are very forgiving to people who are not really accomplished players. I try like heck to play that darn French horn, but I'm making bad notes left and right. And I don't think you've ever called me on, either one of you has ever called me on it. You know?
actually, I spend most of my time trying to listen for when you hit a right note, and then congratulate you for doing that. You know,
I
like
really understand now.
that's the better way to do that for sure. And then
Working backwards.
and then maybe we could close with the most important part of it: choosing repertoire.
Yeah.
That's really critical. You know, like the children's children's concert, Dave said you kind of play the same thing.
Yeah, we change it around a little bit, but there are some things that we have to play. Like the teddy bear's picnic. We have a big bear
Which
that
is in my head forever. That's beside the point. Yeah.
we have somebody in a bear costume, and we give all the children stuffed animals, and they have a parade around the park following the bear.
Right. Yeah.
And we also we have a wooden soldier, and we play the parade of the wooden soldiers.
Right.
And they do the same thing, and then there's so some of the songs are the same.
Right.
And we play the YMCA, and I have some teenagers that dance the YMCA in costumes in front of the kids and things
Cool.
like that.
Yeah.
But then we switch it around a little bit. This year we played highlights from Frozen, and I had a girl dressed up like Elsa from Frozen, and she came in and met all the kids. That was a big hit. And my little granddaughter was amazed that Elsa knew her name.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Unfortunately, she didn't freeze over the port of Westerly eternally. You know, like in the
Right,
movie.
right.
That would be bad. in
Yeah,
Westerly.
yeah.
You need
Well, Alison is uniquely qualified to do children's concerts. She works with kids all the
Oh,
time.
I do.
Yeah, you do preschool.
I work at preschool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you
She's doing
go.
that for quite a while now, so she knows the monster there. She knows how to
The
deal
hip
with
things to play for
Yeah.
kids. What's
Yeah.
in for kids, and fortunately, it's similar to that's what was played for me
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah,
a kid.
yeah.
You know,
right,
so it's
yeah,
nice
yeah.
that keeps some of those traditions
But
alive too.
it was I was a little concerned about that concert, you know, because it was raining in the morning. I was like, oh, this is not going to work. It's going to be all wet down there. Nobody's going to come. And all of a sudden, the sun came out, it dried out, and it was
I
gorgeous.
think we had 75 kids.
And
or
just a
so.
bunch of kids
Wow.
down there, and they had a ball. They were running all over the place, and it was fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I said, how do you recruit, young people? There it is, right
Yep.
there.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got it.
Plant
You
that
got it.
seed.
Yeah.
That would be so cool to be up on the stage playing one of those instruments.
Right.
So that's wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming as our guest, and like Dave for suggesting.
Yeah.
Adjusting her, I think this went very well. Episode 7, and we'll hopefully hear from you. Questions. We'll put some contact information for the Westerly Band in.
Okay.
And in case anyone hears this and said, "Hey, I want to be part of that," or has some questions for follow up, and we'll go on from there. Anything else to add, Dave?
No, just
Just keep on playing.